Set after Hurricane Katrina, four boyhood friends out of options reluctantly accept an offer to pull off a dangerous heist in the heart of New Orleans. Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot here today to give you my thoughts, my review on the new film, Cutthroat City. Very excited to let you all know what I thought about this film and if you should check it out over the weekend in this non-spoiler review. Before we dive into it, as you all can see on the screen now, make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts. That way you can stay up to date with what's going on here at Movie Files. If you are new to the channel, welcome, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new videos. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Helps out the channel, but I also really appreciate it. And last but not least, if and when you've seen Cutthroat City, let me know what you all thought about this film. Were you anticipating it? Was it something you were looking forward to? Let me know your pros and cons in the comment section below. And as always, let's have some fun discussions down there. So Cutthroat City, man, you talk about a film that was been in production hell. I remember hearing about this movie years ago when Lil Wayne was attached to starring in, him and Birdman, but obviously they had a falling out, so that wasn't going to fall through. The movie was shot back in December 2017. It was supposed to get picked up in 2018, got shelved, supposed to come out early this year. The pandemic hit, so this film has seen better days, but it is now available on VOD this Friday. So what did I think about this film? This is my first time watching a RZA directed film. I've been a fan of his with Wu-Tang Clan. I've seen him in other movies, Kung Fu films more particularly, and I was really interested to see his directing sensibilities. So starting off with the positives, this movie's about 2 hours and 15 minutes, and there's some things I took away from it. This film didn't work for me ultimately, and I'll talk about it in my criticisms, but at the end of the day, I think there were some strong performances, starting off with Shameik Moore. This cast, number one, Shameik Moore, Terrence Howard, Wesley Snipes, T.I., Ezra Gonzalez. I mean, the list, Rob Morgan, Ethan Hawke. This is a stacked cast, and for the most part, I think the cast did the best they could with the script that they were given, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and the direction they were given as well. But I think the shining star for me this entire film was watching Shameik Moore. Again, the premise of this movie, it takes place in 2005. Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, and we're seeing a group of four best friends who are just down in their luck. They don't have any options. Their family is looking on them to help support the bills, to put food on the table. So they get mixed up with a family member played by T.I., the cousin, who is a drug lord, gang member, who is giving them an opportunity to make some money, and that's where the heist comes into it about. So Shameik Moore, to me, was the only character that I was able to really kind of gravitate to in regards to he got the most backstory. We see other characters within the group. They have their situation. They're kind of down and out. One of them are living in their cars. The other one, their mom is looking to get some money. So there are motives there, but I thought Shameik Moore's motives, you see him getting married. You see him and his kid. You see he's trying to get a job. He's an artist in his film. No one's picking up his comic book. So it's just like, if people aren't looking at me, I got to make myself known by putting money on the table. So he takes on that task to be a heist, to rob these casinos. And I thought his story, from the beginning to the end, had its ups and downs, but I think Shameik Moore, man, is such a great actor. I can't believe it's been 5 years since Dope came out, and obviously his blow up with Into the Spider-Verse, and I'm excited to see more of that, him in that role. But I thought that he was just really great. Every time I see this kid, he's always authentic, he's raw, he's honest. You could just tell that there's just so much talent within him, and I'm so excited to continue to see his career continue to grow. But I thought him as Bleak, kind of the leader of the group, the leader of the film, was just a really good character to kind of follow through and through. And you see his ups and downs as a character, which makes him complex and has him having some dynamic to that character. So I really enjoyed him. His friends were fine. I've seen these actors before. None of them to me really kind of stood out from a performance standpoint, but again, I like the brotherhood. I like their kinship that they had within this film. There were some moments where I feel like they kind of breezed over certain emotional aspects. I wish scenes would have sat longer within certain things that happened very early on, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. But like I said, for me, Shameik Moore's character, Rob Morgan's character really stood out to me, kind of the cop with some, corruption going on with him. Ethan Hawke, I thought, really stood out. But all in all, I thought that the performances were fine, but those three really kind of were their saving grace for me personally. I have issues with the script, and I'll talk about it here in a bit, but there is a good movie within the script, the narrative that's being told. We all know what happened in New Orleans, which has been over 15 years ago, Hurricane Katrina, how the government forgot about those people down there and left them to kind of fend for themselves. So I like the message within the story in regards to just they're willing to do whatever it takes to put food on the table, but at the same time, they're willing to stick it to the man, right? It's a lot of corruption in this film, and I kind of like how the film handles that. Convoluted at times, but the meat is there. It's just a little bit little bloated at times, but I really do appreciate the kind of the narrative they were trying to tell within this story about your heritage, knowing when you're from, as well as, you know, making ends meet and making bad decisions and seeing people make the bad, you know, but having good intentions, but how corruption can, you know, corrupt their lives and their pure hearts become something rotten and kind of bad. So I kind of like the narrative there. Again, we'll talk about it in a little bit as far as criticism, but I think this film does struggle with some things, but there is enough goodwill within this film to say that there is something I would recommend to check it out, because there are some really strong performances with, like I said, Shameik Moore, Ethan Hawke, Rob Morgan, and some other things that are kind of sprinkled in there that was very interesting and entertainment. It kept me engaged, even though it is a pretty long runtime in my personal opinion. But transitions into the criticisms, I've never seen a RZA film. I can see the sensibilities. I know he's a big Quentin Tarantino film, and you can see that every now and then. There's even a reference to Quentin Tarantino in this movie, but his direction's a little rough on the edges for me personally. Some shots just feel kind of quick out of the scenes. The pacing in the film was all the way there. I think the weakest aspect of this movie to me was the script. There were some really bad dialogue amongst the crew, amongst the cast, amongst the kind of high tension filled moments. I feel like it was just kind of over the top for me. There was times where this film felt kind of cartoonish when the characters, I think of T.I.'s character, who's like the big bad. He has like this birthmark on his face, kind of reminded me a little John Henry with Ludacris's character. I like T.I. I don't like T.I. in movies. The only time I think I was okay with him in a movie was when he did ATL, but everything else I've seen him in, he just always is just overdoing his character. You have other characters in here like Wesley Snipes, who's not in it that much, but I thought he was okay. But again, you don't really get enough time with the supporting cast members like Blink's family, his wife, who I thought, you know, the kid, I can't think of the actress's name, but I thought she was fine. That's the thing with this movie for me. Everyone was just okay besides those three people I mentioned in my positives. But there were some characters I felt that were miscast. Isa Gonzalez, I like her as an actress. Her career is just blowing up with a lot of big blockbuster films she's been in. But her as a detective in this movie, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel like it was believable in that role. And there was just a lot of other characters. I mean, this cast is literally stacked with amazing talent, but I just feel like a lot of people just didn't know who their characters were. The direction wasn't strong enough to pull the sensibilities out of these great actors. And that script, man, is really kind of the weakest part of the film. I felt like the setup was really interesting. The heist aspect in the second half was really interesting, but as the film kind of unfolds, again, it's almost 2 hours and 10 minutes, which I think this film could have been short down on maybe 20 minutes less. Once we get into Shameik Moore and his crew becoming more into the heist, and they become less of the good men that we know them at the beginning of the film to criminals, it just was very, very convoluted, and the story is way too bloated for me. I think there's way too many cooks in the kitchen regarding which narrative are we taking. There's the corruption in the police, Shameik Moore and his crew try to get away from the police, the gang violence and this war that's going on. Is just a lot of moving pieces. Terrence Howard comes into the mix in the third act. It's just too many moving pieces on this chessboard for me. But like I said, overall, it's entertaining, has a good message, some good performances, but I think the script really kind of brings this film down. So with that being said, I'll give Cutthroat City a 2.5 out of 5. I know there's going to be people that's going to really appreciate this film, especially those that were able to relate to the story, that live in New Orleans. But for me, that script, man, it's just really poorly written in my opinion. And also RZA, good moments, but also some really bad moments, and there's some really bad acting at times throughout the supporting cast. So 2.5 out of 5 for Cutthroat City. But hey, don't let me stop you. If this is something you want to check out, definitely do. And when you do check it out, let me know in the comments your pros, your cons, and let's have some discussions down there. As always, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new content. Check out my review that I did for Disney Plus, the one and only Ivan, Train to Busan presents Peninsula. I have my DC Fandom recap Q&A on Sunday, and my second review for Lovecraft Country. So a lot of great content coming pretty soon. I thank you guys for the continued support. Hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you in the next video.